In the headlines of VTV News, Prime Minister Phie arrives in South Korea for official visit. And the 500 kilovolt Circuit 3 transmission line project accelerated to hit target.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham. Here's the top news of the hour. Prime Minister Phie arrived in South Korea on Sunday afternoon for his official visit. The Minister of SMEs and Startups welcomed the Prime Minister and his spouse, the Vietnamese delegates, the South Korean Ambassador to Vietnam, Director General for Protocol Affairs in the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Director General of the ASEAN and Southeast Asian Affairs Bureau at the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Vietnamese ambassador to South Korea, along with the airport's commander and a group of Vietnamese in South Korea. An official welcome ceremony was held at the airport. Prime Minister Phie is scheduled for more than 30 events during the visit, the first official visit of a high-ranking Vietnamese leader to South Korea since the two countries elevated their bilateral relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2022. He will attend business and labor cooperation forums, promote tourism and culture, and discuss semiconductors and AI with economic organizations and South Korean scientists. He will also meet with representatives from a leading South Korean investor in Vietnam. The Vietnamese Prime Minister is also expected to deliver a speech at Seoul National University and visit Samsung's semiconductor factory in Gyeonggi Province. Immediately after arriving in South Korea on Sunday, Prime Minister Phie and the Vietnamese delegation had an intimate and heartfelt meeting with South Korean friends and Vietnamese community.
Welcoming Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, his spouse, and the Vietnamese delegation to visit South Korea, South Korean friends expressed their joy at the strong bilateral relations and are proud to be friends of Vietnam. Delegates highlighted Vietnam's status as the fastest developing country in Asia and a popular travel destination for South Koreans. They pledged continued efforts to enhance bilateral ties. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, moved by the heartfelt and insightful comments about Vietnam from South Korean friends, shared Vietnam's significant achievements over nearly 40 years of reform under the leadership of the Communist Party. The Prime Minister sincerely thanked South Korean organizations, individuals, and friends for supporting and contributing to Vietnam. He called for continued affection towards Vietnam and proposed specific cooperation to strengthen bilateral friendship and promote both nations' prosperity and development.
Also, on Sunday, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh and his spouse met with representatives from Vietnam's embassy, other diplomatic missions, and the Vietnamese community in South Korea. The Prime Minister expressed gratitude for their enthusiastic and responsible contributions to Vietnam and bilateral relations. He conveyed General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong's greetings and well wishes to the nearly 300,000-strong Vietnamese community in South Korea. The Prime Minister recognized the community's significant and high-quality contributions to Vietnam and bilateral ties, promoting stability and development in their host country. Looking ahead, the Prime Minister pledged to continue discussions with South Korean leaders and ministries to ensure continued support and facilitation for the Vietnamese community in South Korea.
The 7th session of the National Assembly concluded, successfully completing the working program. At this session, the National Assembly completed the personnel work by passing resolutions to elect the President, the Chairman of the National Assembly, and elect and approve a number of leadership positions of the National Assembly and the government.
11 laws and 21 resolutions, including 3 legal resolutions, have been passed. Notably, the 11 laws reviewed for the first time span various industries and fields of interest to voters.
The entire apparatus, from the drafting agency to the parliamentary committees and National Assembly deputies, worked responsibly to pass a significant volume of laws and resolutions. This is seen as a legislative achievement for this session and the entire term.
The quality of the law projects and the feedback from the explaining agencies has been timely and appropriate throughout the process, from group discussions to the full assembly.
The session has adjusted and added some difficult and complex content to meet practical requirements. Notably, there was proactive coordination between the government and the National Assembly in submitting amended law projects and supplementing a number of articles on land, real estate business, housing, and credit institutions.
I appreciate the government, ministries, and branches for their preparation and the National Assembly deputies for their sense of responsibility. Every addition to the program and its content has been essential, addressing and resolving bottlenecks in the country's socio-economic development during this period.
Meaningful decisions were adopted, and the next crucial step is their swift and effective implementation. National Assembly Chair also requested this immediately after the session ended.
To ensure that the law is implemented fairly, strictly, consistently, promptly, effectively, and efficiently, the National Assembly urges the government, its agencies, the Supreme People's Court, the Supreme People's Procuracy, and relevant organizations to focus on directing, thoroughly understanding, and promptly and effectively implementing the laws and resolutions passed during the 7th session.
With the efforts of the National Assembly, the government and agencies, the results of the 15th National Assembly's 7th session are expected to successfully implement this year's tasks and the entire term 2021 to 2026 in the context of various challenges.
After more than 5 months of construction, many important segments of the 500 kilovolt Circuit 3 transmission line are in the final stage. This project is particularly important in ensuring energy security for the North. On average, a huge project like this takes 2 to 3 years. However, it is nearing completion in just 6 months, underlining the determination of the government, functional forces, and the public. More in the following.
Located in the corridor of the 500 kilovolt Circuit 3 lines, Ba's family, as well as many other households in Hậu Hiền Town, Thiệu Hóa District, Thanh Hóa Province, soon agreed with the locality's policies.
The line passed through the house, so I moved it first. I demolished the house about 2 months before getting the compensation. I then found a place to move so that the project could go smoothly.
We prioritized the resettlement areas arranged for previous projects for this project so that people could quickly move to new places. Secondly, we stopped auctioning some premises to create a source of resettlement areas for this project.
Hundreds of thousands of hectares of residential and farmland were required to create the construction area. However, with the consensus of the local communities, any setbacks has been overcome.
We are supported at all levels, from site clearing works and roads to materials and human resources. All difficulties have now been resolved.
Community support is decisive in ensuring the target is achieved according to the Prime Minister's direction. Another factor is there has been buy-in at all levels by the branches and individuals carrying out the work.
According to the proposed requirements, the 500 kilovolt Circuit 3 transmission line must complete tower erection, wire pulling, and testing in June. In addition, the completion and inspection phase will be carried out at the end of July.
You're watching VTV News. The State Bank of Vietnam, or SBV, has issued guidance for commercial banks regarding registration of biometric data for foreign residents when mandatory biometric verification for first-time mobile banking users or large-valued transactions takes effect starting in July. Commercial banks have sent customers notifications and reminders to update their facial images and chip-based ID cards to avoid disruptions in high-value online transactions. According to the SBV, 60 financial institutions have implemented customer verification using chip-based ID cards at branches, 49 institutions via mobile apps, and 22 institutions with the VNID electronic identification application. Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi have been listed as emergers in the Asia-Pacific region in the first Inclusive Cities Barometer recently released by Cushman & Wakefield, a leading global real estate services firm. Emergers are cities that are witnessing emerging pockets of progress aimed at addressing social and urban inclusivity for their citizens. According to Cushman & Wakefield, Ho Chi Minh City stands out with its favorable levels of population density, high levels of healthcare access, and affordable residential renting. Meanwhile, Hanoi's top 3 drivers include higher levels of gender equality, comparatively affordable housing, and lower levels of transport costs. In their efforts to create instability in the Central Highlands, the outlawed organization Furo has recently been enticing ethnic people to cross the border into Cambodia and Thailand. Some former Furo followers, lured by promises of a better life and the prospect of resettlement in third countries like the US and Canada, have illegally crossed the border. However, life in these foreign lands has not lived up to their expectations.
Over 2 months after returning from Thailand, Nguyen from Chuse District, Gia Lai Province, is still haunted by his time abroad. A former Furo follower, Nguyen realized his mistake when the harsh realities of life in Thailand did not match the organization's promises.
When I returned home, I felt more comfortable. My life of gardening, raising animals, eating, and drinking is more comfortable.
I didn't have a job there. Sometimes there was food, sometimes not. There was no money, and I couldn't call home.
Exiled members of Furo are in regular contact with ethnic groups stranded in Thailand, advising them not to return home for fear of government arrest and imprisonment.
Upon returning home, I recognized my mistake and expressed gratitude to the party for creating favorable conditions.
In regions with complex subversive activities, individuals who once served sentences for undermining national unity policies now receive support from local authorities after renouncing Furo and Diga Protestantism.
District commune officials are dedicated to assisting me with the most challenging issues, such as securing loans and addressing family concerns. I have received considerable support from both the local government and the police. Many who have not yet returned will inevitably come back, as it is the right choice.
Returning to the village, those enticed and manipulated into following Furo recounted their bitter journeys and the hardships they endured abroad. Their stories vividly expose the malicious intentions of those who aim to disrupt national unity.
The 4th competition of the Da Nang International Fireworks Festival, which also served as the final qualifying round, took place on Saturday night. The event featured a gripping showdown between the debutant Chinese team and the 2019 champions from Finland. Both teams showcased the prowess of their respective nations in the global fireworks industry, delivering an exceptional light show. Making their debut at the festival, the Chinese Vietnamese team presented Summer Song, a performance distinguished by a fresh design and 4,000 fireworks of various types, setting them apart from their competitors. Meanwhile, the Finnish team, victors of the 2019 festival, reaffirmed their dominance with an extraordinary display featuring 10,000 colorful fireworks. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.